Hello and welcome to HibsTalk Extra Time episode 9. This week I was joined by our brand new co-host Michael as we went through Wednesday night's 0-0 draw at Dundee, our injury crisis and looked ahead to St Johnstone on Saturday. As always, be sure to follow us on Twitter at HFCTalk and follow us on Facebook at HibsTalk. Thanks and enjoy the show.
Yes, we are back. It's Thursday night. It's HibsTalk Extra Time. It's Liam, and I'm joined for his debut, the very handsome, the very opinionated Mr. Michael Monan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Liam. Delighted to be brought on board. So hopefully I can do enough to make myself well liked with the listeners.
Secure a permanent contract.
Aye.
Brilliant. So Michael is replacing Craig as the co-host of HibsTalk Extra Time. Craig just he left because of personal reasons, so he goes with the well-wishing of all of us here at HibsTalk, and hopefully he can return one day in a coaching role. That would be magic. But Michael, it's the new era now. So I've just got a couple of questions to ask you. How did the move come about?
Well, as far as I know, I spoke to you pre the Hearts game in the Iona bar, just asking about a potential guest slot, and then you said aye, and then I was meant to come on that Thursday night, but I was unable to. And then a week or so later, you messaged me with the opportunity of a permanent role on the show. So I kind of felt like rejecting a contract offer which wasn't up to scratch before getting offered a promotion about a week later. And now here we are. This is my first time to come on the show.
Fantastic. And for those who haven't heard you before, what kind of podcaster are you? What can we expect from you?
That's not for me to say, obviously, but I like to think that I just give my opinion, and I suppose that's all you can really ask for.
And have you got a message for the fans?
Just thanks for all the well wishes that came in over the last couple of days. Delighted to get started, but I know that I'm in capable hands, and I'm sure I can live up to the hype and to the opportunity that is in front of me.
Well, Michael, time will tell. And welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here. But yes, get started is what we'll do, and we will get straight into the display at Dens Park last night, 0-0, a bit of a drab game. Michael, what were your initial thoughts when you seen the team sheet? I've got here, we had, I'm thinking, it looks like we played a 3-4-3. It's kind of difficult to tell from where I was sitting exactly what formation we're playing. With Dabrowski in goals, Stevenson, Porto, and Rocky as the back three, Josh Doig and Cadden wing backs, with JDH and Josh Campbell sitting, Dre Wright and Ewan Henderson, and I feel like the inside forward roles with Christian Deutsch a wee bit isolated up top. What was your initial thoughts when you seen the team line?
Well, because we're sort of down to the bare bones anyway, it's the team I expected, and it's probably the best team we could have played with who we had available. But I think when we have a full complement of players, or nearing a full complement of players, I don't think many of them are getting in the team.
Now, well, I've got down here a strong squad despite the injuries. You know, you look at, out of them, you're probably looking at Ryan Porteous, Rocky Bushy, Doyle Hayes, Cadden, and probably Ewan Henderson. Maybe Ewan Henderson would get into my team if everyone was fully fit. I feel Dre Wright did enough on Sunday to warrant a start yesterday, but I think for Dre Wright, for me, he blows hot and cold. He has good games and then has bad games. But I don't know if you could tell from where you were last night, but I felt the fans were getting on his back a bit as well.
Well, I think he's very much a confidence player. And I think on Sunday, but just because it was like it was kind of like nothing to lose. So I think he sort of thrives in that. Like we were sort of expected to get beat, so he feels like he's not got to do anything.
Less pressure.
Like, aye. So, but when we're playing in games like last night where we have to win, he doesn't seem to know how to handle that sort of demand, I think. But I also think he's a scapegoat as well. I mean, I don't think he's as bad as what other people make him out to be, and I don't think he's as bad as I don't think he's the worst player on the pitch like every week that folk make him out to be.
No, definitely not. You know, you could see that when I know we said that we probably won't touch too much on the Celtic game, but the Celtic game, I thought he was really good. He was good in those tight spaces in the midfield. He was absolutely gubbed after what was it, an hour, and then he came off for Chris Mueller. But you know, last night I think it's obviously it's a different game, playing the top of the league and then playing the bottom of the league. He's obviously going to get a wee bit more space, but I feel like him and Henderson didn't really offer much through the middle when Cadden and Doig were attacking, especially in the first half. I felt like our only real route going forward was Chris Cadden down the right, and there wasn't an awful lot of support in the middle.
I think Ewan Henderson's too slow.
Yep.
I think he's good with the ball, but he's in that sort of 10 position that he seems to be playing last night. It's with Doig up front, it was sort of expected he would be running in behind Doig, like if Doig was to get a flick on, but he's just too slow. Honestly, I felt sorry for Dre Wright last night when on the right hand, it was just in the second half. I don't know if you remember, on the right hand side, left as we were looking, the ball got played to him and it hit him on the heel.
Aye, and then folk were up in arms about it.
And then folk were sort of chastising him, I should say.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. I do think he's a scapegoat. He's an easy target because he didn't have the greatest of starts. And no, I'm not saying he had a good game last night, but I'm not saying he played terribly. I don't really think any of the team played terribly. I think as a collective, we weren't aggressive enough. There wasn't enough cutting edge. You know, we had minimal chances in the game. I can think of 2 in the first half. One was actually from Dre Wright, but it was, you know, I've hit the cat harder. You know, he's for the edge of the box and it's went straight at the goalie. The other one in the first half, I've put it down as a chance, but Henderson went through and he should have pulled the trigger maybe a couple of strides before he did. And I think one of the Dundee players just got in front of him and he kind of scaffed it off of him and it's went out for a corner. But
Poach's hit a header as well.
Aye, Poach's header saved. But you know, they're no great chances, really. You know, you don't expect Dre Wright to score that one. You'd maybe think Poach's might score the header right enough, but you know, not enough chances in the first half. But what would you put it down to?
A lack of confidence in front of goal. I think we knew at the time, but I think it's been shown to be the case that how much we relied on Martin Boyle just for everything. Like, and he scored so many goals, but he was also involved in basically every goal we scored. Yeah. And when he had the ball, he would take 2 or 3 of the opposition players with him to try and stop him.
Yeah.
Whereas now we don't have that. I feel like teams aren't. They're not.
Scared.
I always say every week that it must be the easiest shift in the centre half's lives to play against Hibs because none of them move.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But I also I felt last night. I said it to my dad last night that, you know, Doig didn't do an awful lot last night, but we're lacking that cutting edge. But you're not going to get that cutting edge when you isolate Doig as much as we did last night. And Dre Wright and Ewan Henderson are good players, but I don't think for that position. A wee bit deeper, yeah, you need someone with a little bit more pace, a little bit more something about them. Like Chris Mueller, I think would have been perfect last night. I think someone said that he's got COVID. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I thought Chris Mueller works really well in that tight space in the 10. That we just didn't really have that link between Doyle, Hayes, Campbell, and Doidge up front. I feel Doidge didn't do an awful lot, but he didn't. He's no like Nisbet where he comes deep to make things happen. So, what chance has he got really? You know what I mean?
Well, but it goes back to the same thing. It's like we don't have any players.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
sort of just playing with what we have. I mean, I don't think Christian Doidge will be here next season.
No.
I think he looks. He's slow. He's lost. He was never quick, but whatever he had, he's lost as well in terms of a couple of yards of pace. It's just, and I don't know if that's because he's just getting older, if he's injured, or if he's disinterested.
I don't want to say disinterested. You know, the injury that he had he did his Achilles, so you know, like you said, he never really had that much pace to begin with. But looking at Doidge last night, it reminded me of what he was like when Heckenbottom was in charge, and he couldn't kick a ball in anger. He wasn't that great, but you know, he's not got any service. I think the way that we're playing with the wing backs maybe isn't the best way. You need to get someone more advanced in there. I don't know what you think.
We're too slow with the ball.
Yeah.
It's passing for passing's sake. It's passing with nowhere. We're just passing the ball to pass the ball.
Exactly.
They're not going anywhere, and we just seem to slow everything down. And the couple of times that we actually look like scoring is when we drove forward a bit, had a couple of passes in, really try to pass it, somebody to shoot.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you go back to just pointless passing? Like, Dundee had 11 men behind the ball basically the whole game, and we were passing it in front of them.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree, and it's been like that for for a few weeks now. You know, the urgency just isn't there, and whether that's because we're lacking a player with pace that can push on up front, or if it's just the way that Maloney wants to play, you know, time will tell when everyone's back fit, and when Martin Boyle comes back in the summer maybe. But yeah, moving on for that, the big talking point in the game was the red card for Rocky Bushy, and I didn't see it properly at the time, but looking back on it on the highlights, it does look like he hits out at McGowan, whether there's contact or not. But you can't be raising your hands to someone on the football pitch and expect to get away with it.
No. In my terms of contract, is it a sackable offence to swear? Am I getting my severance if I swear?
It depends. It depends what swear. Ken, what you're new. Just go for it.
Well, my initial reaction, and I've seen nothing to change my mind, is fucking idiot.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell when he was walking off that he didn't think it was a red card, but there was no protest for the Hibs players. So,
well, the thing is, right, I thought at first it was Pochus.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have been surprising,
A couple of reasons. He was the one who was raging about it.
Yeah.
So I felt like he'd been sent off, obviously thought he'd never done anything wrong. And I knew that referees would be queuing up to send him off. I just don't understand. I just don't get it. I mean, he's right in front of the linesman.
Yeah.
And
it's just silly.
Like that, like slapping you up. Like, what did you expect to happen? And now he's out for 3 games because it's violent conduct.
Yeah.
When we already don't have any players.
Yeah. It's a bizarre decision from him. But, you know, I've felt for the last couple of weeks that it was bound to happen sometime. He's a good player. He's a good defender, but he's an accident waiting to happen at times, isn't he?
I think the jury's still out on him. He just... he just seems clumsy.
Yeah.
And lackadaisical. That's an impression I get off him. I mean, don't get me wrong, one-on-one defending, I think he's good enough to play for, like, to handle this league. But just with some of his positioning is bizarre. And just every time he gets the ball, I feel like we're going to lose it.
Yeah, I know. I kind of felt that way when Effie Ambrose first came in, that he was far too on the ball all the time and trying to make things happen. And I feel the same way about Rocky. I think Rocky's cut for the same cloth, but he just doesn't have. He's not got the same technical ability, does he? But
no.
Like you said, he's a good defender, and he's not a ball playing defender. But I think he thinks he is. But
that's even worse.
Again, an accident waiting to happen. I think it's a stupid decision for him. When we now have 11 players unavailable, I don't know if all 11 will be unavailable for Saturday, but it just seemed like a stupid thing to happen. And even if someone's provoking you, someone as ugly as Paul McGowan, you just need to keep the head, and you can't be doing anything like that. But yeah, it was just stupid for him.
Just needless.
Yeah, we'll move on to who replaces him for the St Johnstone game in a bit. But before we talk about that, let's talk about some of the substitutions that Sean Maloney made. And now, I've been critical of Sean Maloney in the past for his substitutions being too negative, but I don't think we could have complained at the three players that came on last night with Sylvester Jasper, Melkerson, and Runar Hauge or Hague.
Is that how you say his name?
I think it's Hauge. It's Hauge, and Hauge just sounds very.
What's his
Norwegian.
first
name? Runar.
We'll just call him that until we find it.
Call him Runar.
Aye.
Yeah, I was delighted to see Melkerson come on. I think that was the biggest cheer of the evening was when he came on. But were you impressed with the Norwegians?
I mean, they were certainly up for it.
Yep.
How much did they touch the ball?
I don't think an awful
Melkerson,
lot.
To be fair, Melkerson on the left-hand side of the pitch, but our right-hand side as we looking at it, did a nice turn up the wing.
Yeah.
Out of pressure. I've noticed that. Runar got himself busy, got himself booked.
Some challenge that was,
I mean, they certainly look lively enough. They certainly look interested. So I think you can't really judge them off the time they were on, but they never did anything to. They never did anything to make me give them a negative review.
No, definitely not. I felt they were positive when they came on. I felt all the changes were positive. A wee shout out for Sylvester Jasper. He's a guy who comes on and tries to make things happen. If he could pass the ball, he'd be 10 times the player. But in terms of the Norwegian boys, I felt when they came on, their hunger was really good. They gave us a different dimension when they came on that we hadn't seen for the previous 75 minutes. So it was quite positive to see that there was people on the bench that could come on and change the way that a game was going. And I felt we looked a wee bit more dangerous in the second half as a whole, but especially when they came on, it looked like we were more likely to score. I don't think we could have been playing until next Wednesday and still no scored, but we looked definitely a little bit more likely to score when they came on. But quickly going on to Sylvester Jasper, how good would they be if he could pass the ball?
He wouldn't be at Hibs.
Exactly.
It's Fulham. He's fair.
Fulham, aye.
I mean, he's certainly good on the ball, like dribbling wise, but just pass the ball, man.
Yeah, I think.
Just lift your head.
Yeah, there was a few times where the
one with the Josh Doig. I mean, that is.
Aye, it's criminal, eh? That's
how you win games, or when you decision making.
This is it, yeah. And it's just as if he'd beaten his man and then he wanted to go back and beat him again and then get the shot away. But you know, he's a young laddie. I said this to my dad on Sunday. He's good and he's good dribbler and he's good with the ball, his feet, but he's very, very raw. He's not well rounded off at the moment. But that's purely because he's spent half a season at senior level, first team level. And you know, Hibs is a big jump for Colchester, and from playing in Premier League 2 or wherever Fulham Races play. So I think there's definitely a player in there, and I firmly believe that Sean Maloney will be able to coach that head-down attitude out of him. But listen, there was a couple of times where he probably could have put in balls to win the game last night, and he never did it. And it's frustrating, but you need to have patience with these players. And also, I do not think he should be on corners.
No. I mean, every goalie coach in the world would be pleased with those crosses in the warm-up.
Yeah.
Just passed them right into his hands.
Exactly.
But then again, who takes corners?
That's what I was going to ask you. I was saying, out of the players that were on the pitch last night, maybe Henderson, but Henderson was off, so
Hayes was off.
Josh Campbell, maybe, probably not. Then you're looking at the fullbacks, Josh Doig, Chris Cadden. Doubt it. We even had Lewis Stevenson taking a corner on Sunday. That's how desperate we are to find someone who can deliver the ball.
I know. I mean, it's a problem.
It is. Yeah, but again, it's down to the personnel issue.
True, but I think every professional footballer should be able to cross the ball.
Yeah,
unchallenged, of course. They've got a free hit at the ball. I mean, it's not a question of we've not got the right players to take across, because they should all be capable of doing it.
Yeah. It's not like it's a very far distance to kick the ball and keep it away from the goal.
And it's not even, they don't even necessarily need to pick something out. Just put it into an area with some pace on it.
Exactly. Just didn't hit it straight at the goalie.
Just didn't loft it right into. Just didn't almost pick the goalie out. Loft it for a nice height for him. No pace on the ball, and just let him come and catch it.
That was one. That was one that Jasper put in last night, and it was lofted for the goalie. And then there was one he put in where
that was the last minute.
I didn't ken who connected with the one that he put in earlier, but he hit it, and I think he mishit it. And it went straight to the front post, and someone flicked it on.
Josh Campbell headed it back.
Yeah, and I think we've not been very good for corners for a very long, probably since the Scottish Cup final. That's the last time I can remember us scoring for a corner. But for God's sake, it's schoolboy stuff.
Part of football, though. You need to be able to cross. Like, corners are I mean, I don't know the stats or anything like that, but I should imagine that your expected goals would increase if you could get somebody to take a corner.
Yeah, well, you would think so, because you've got Porteous, who's got a bit of height on him, and that was really about it. That was about it in the books.
Dodge.
Yeah, well, he was off by this point, so
that's fair enough.
Aye. Sorry, Christian, we can't slag you for that. But yeah, moving on from that horrible game, horrible night. Last night, we can look ahead to Saturday, and the first thing we want to really talk about is the great initiative shown by Hibs to reduce all tickets from whatever they would be normally down to £5, which is brilliant, and it looks like we're going to get a sellout, Michael.
Yeah. Obviously, great idea. Good that to try and get folk to the game that perhaps wouldn't be able to in normal circumstances. So obviously, good idea. Glad that it's been well received, apart from the few folk who on Twitter that feel that their season ticket rights have been
ridiculous. Eh?
Just. Well, I mean, You buy a season ticket on the knowledge that you're going to get a ticket to every game. I mean, do you want if it averages it out that you get more? If it averages out that a ticket's more expensive for a game than averaging your season ticket, should you have to pay the difference on top of that? It's just a nonsensical argument.
Very, very silly.
I mean, it's geared up for us to get beat.
Absolutely.
Good idea. Something different.
It's a brilliant initiative.
Fans, which is important. So,
definitely. And we've just seen something very similar with our neighbours across the city. I thought I would give a wee shout out to Rab Lockhart, Liam Anderson, and Liam Corbett from the This Is My Story pod for the work that they done for the Hearts ticket drive. £7,500 that they raised, which was matched by Hearts, which is wonderful. They kicked that off last night by getting some folk along to Tynecastle, and they say that they've got enough money to send about 100 fans to every home game between now and the end of the season, as well as buying merchandise like tops, hats, and scarves as well, which is wonderful. And that's what we do it for, really. You want full houses, and you want these young bairns to get along to Easter Road, ideally Tynecastle, maybe, but it's only good for the Scottish game to have these sort of things going on, instead of kids sitting in our house playing FIFA and doing stuff like that. So a big shout out to them. I think that's brilliant for them, and hopefully we can see more of that going on across the country. But moving on to the actual game, Michael, we spoke about earlier, who comes in for Rocky?
Well, it's going to be Darren McGregor, isn't it?
You reckon?
I presume so.
What about Del Fieri, the wee Belgian guy?
I never actually knew we had him until I seen him warming up against Celtic.
Well, I'll tell you something, actually. I didn't think he was at Hibs at this point. I thought he was joining at the end of the season.
That's why.
Is
he a centre-half, like?
He's a centre-half, aye.
Oh, but perhaps then.
I'm sure he is. Well, unless I read the article completely wrong when he signed. That's where we need a position, pal. You can go and fill it in. But
well then, I presumed it would be Darren McGregor, but perhaps it'll be him.
Yeah, well, you never know. I think obviously when he's brought in, he was brought in with the view of him not being in the first team as quick as he is. I think it's down to, again, the injury issue that he's in the squad anyway. So I reckon it'll be Darren McGregor, but I'd quite like to see Del Fieri playing. It's a new face. It's a foreign centre back. It's all very exciting, when stuff like this happens.
I just hope he's good.
Yeah, well, again, you think we might not see him for another couple of years. He might play on Saturday, but if he doesn't, then we might not see him playing for the first team for a couple of years, which would be, who can? He might be rubbish, Michael. He might be absolutely rubbish. But other than that, would you be inclined, if you were Sean Maloney, to start Melkerson and Hauge?
I think Melkerson's got more of a chance of starting of the two.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's obviously a reason that it's taken to last night for them to actually have any sort of involvement. So I don't know if he's got to play them both as quickly or off the back of that, but he did say that to expect them to be involved on Saturday again. So I don't know what that means. But I think he'll be more likely to play Melkerson, because if we're at home, does he go two up top at home?
I mean, he's not really got form for going two up top, has he?
No, but we've also not scored in a couple of games now.
Yeah.
And we're at home. against a team down the bottom of the league. So why would you not play up top?
Exactly. So, Michael, our opponents, St Johnstone, 1 win in 6. Not very good in front of goal either at the moment. Although that 1 win in their last 6 was against Hearts at home. Are they anything to worry about?
Well, rather than being worried about the opposition, I'm more, as always, worried about Hibs. So the win against Hearts was Hearts then had Craig Gordon.
Yep.
Which is a big thing for them to be without. I would usually be worried about St Johnstone just because they're a bogey team generally, right? But we've beat them twice this season. So whether we've turned a corner with them, I don't know, but it's more Hibs I'm concerned about rather than about them.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at that squad, that St Johnstone squad, and it kind of baffles you as to how they're down that end of the table. Especially, I know they lost Ali McCann and they lost Jason Kerr, but it kind of baffles you as to how a team that won both cups last season is down struggling for their lives really at the bottom end of the table with the players that they've got. You look at O'Halloran, Chris Kane, Ali Crawford, and stuff like that. Do you think they're a cert to go down, or do you think that they'll turn it around?
Well, firstly, the 2 cups last season, I mean, we've talked about this to death, but they had a great neutraliser in the fact that nobody was at the games.
Yeah.
So it was just a game of football in its purest sense. But this season, will they go down? Nah, I don't think so. I think because when it gets to the split, right, there's teams that are doing that every year, so they know what to sort of expect.
It's usually us.
So it sort of just brings out a different. It's like five cup finals for teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously that team they won 2 last year, so they're used to sort of those
important
win or
games.
bust games. Whereas a couple of other teams might not be as used to that, and one of which is Aberdeen.
Yep. Well, I mean, it could be us. It could be us in the bottom 6.
Could be.
So tight.
But it's I don't know. I don't think they'll go down though, which was your question.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that Murray Davidson has got Murray Davidson? No, Callum Davidson. You'd think that he's got enough minerals about him to keep them up. I would love for them to go down. I hate St Johnstone.
Yeah, in the Lego Stadium.
Yeah, it's disgusting. But and like I said earlier on, it's very, very tight from 4th down to 10th at the moment. So does that make, and I know last night we kind of class that as a must win, and a couple of results kind of went for us and a couple of results didn't really go for us. Does that make Saturday of highest importance? We need to win that game.
I think we need to win every game, Liam.
Well, I mean, it goes without saying.
No, but in terms of why last night we should have won that game.
Yeah.
I mean, John Maloney came out after the game and did you listen to his interview?
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like saying to him, a draw isn't good enough.
Yeah. I think he felt that though.
Perhaps. And I'm not having a go at him. I very much believe that he needs time, he needs his own players, he needs his own time, like he needs time to get his ideas across, etc. But and I don't know what is said behind closed doors and what's said to the cameras, but we have to beat Dundee, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Especially bottom of the league.
4-0.
Yeah, it's It should have been a cert last night that we won, but I think it makes Saturday even more important now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to. I hope that with a full crowd, that it can the one time we do something right, that we can be sort of rewarded for it.
Or the boos will just be very, very loud.
Yeah, the boos will be drowning.
Yeah. So just to wrap things up, have you got a prediction for Saturday?
Well, if we're going off current form with Hibs, it's 0-0. I don't know if if I have to go for 3-0 in a row, I think I'll consider a different hobby.
Eye bleeding.
It's one thing getting a 0-0 against Celtic, but to get 2-0 against Dundee and St Johnstone, there's only so much praise for getting clean sheets that you can distribute despite the fact you've not actually scored yourself. Listen, I think we'll have too much for them, despite our
despite the injuries,
lack of players. I think we'll win by a goal. I think we'll win 1-0 or 2.
I think we'll win 1-0 as well. I don't think we'll concede. I think we're too good at keeping clean sheets at the moment. Exactly like you said. I think we'll win 1-0.
What did you think of Dabrowski?
Didn't really have much today, did he?
He's obviously learned from Matt Macy though.
Aye, because he kicked it right out. Eh?
Well, not even that, but just the time it takes him.
Aye,
that was annoying me as well.
That was right at the end as well.
He was almost like, "Oh, we'll get a point and go."
Yeah.
Did you feel that yourself?
He must have been told to act like that. Any other player rushes and lumps about the park, but it was quite frustrating when you see your goalie taking a minute to take a goal kick at 92 minutes at 0-0. Just seems a bit daft. It seems a bit counterproductive. But 1-0 is that what you're saying for your prediction?
Yeah,
love it. Me too. I'm also going to go for a 1-0. And just before we wrap everything up, I've got a couple of listener questions for you, Michael.
Sure.
Michael Guthrie says, what do you think the plan is going forward with Nisbet being out? Doidge looks so far off the pace, it's unreal. Mueller and Sylvester Jasper need to be starting, but we lack any cutting edge in attack. So what do you think the plan is going forward? Do you think it's Doidge or do you think it's Melkerson who's going to be the main man?
Well, thanks, Michael Guthrie, for the question. I think it'll be I think if he's got to play Melkerson, I think Melkerson won't be played on his own.
Yeah, so I think he'll be.
I think he'll be played with Doidge. I
think that's a good match,
Yeah, and I think it'll be a sort of hybrid, depending on who we're playing. So I think on Saturday we have to play two up top, and it'll be them two. And with two strikers, it makes it easier for Jasper, for Mueller, for players like that, because it means they've got more than one option, and it means instead of Jasper waiting for Doidge to make a run, so try to beat up guys already beating and get the ball taken off, he's got two options in the box to aim for. Same for Mueller, and it also will mean that the defenders have to think more about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think we have to play two on Saturday.
Two with Melkerson and Doidge. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
Another question is Hibs from Andy McCall. Hibs seem to be able to raise their game against Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, etc., and put in a decent performance, but we struggle to beat the so-called lesser teams. What do you think the issue is?
Supporting Hibs. It's been like that my whole life. I don't think it's going to change. I think it's certainly something that isn't exclusive to Hibs. I think if you spoke to fans from most teams in the country, they would say that they raise their game against the other teams and sort of slacking off against the other teams. It's sort of it's kind of human. It's human nature for the players as well to play well against better players.
Exactly. I mean, you're naturally going to. It's a mere high pressure game when you're playing a Hearts, Rangers, or Celtic, especially away from home or in front of a big crowd in a high pressure game, you're going to put more into it instinctively. It's not, I don't think it's a choice that they're like, oh, it's only Dundee, it's only St Johnstone, we're only going to give you 75%. I think the game is always raised against these sorts of teams, and like you said, it's human nature. I don't
and the
think
thing is also, sorry,
no.
The thing is also with regards to when you play Celtic and Rangers, especially, you're not meant to have the ball.
Exactly. They play so differently to everyone else,
and you're not expected to. So, for example, when we're playing on Saturday or when we're playing last night, it's up to us to try and break them down, rather than having to go toe to toe with them. And I think it's as much that as it is. I think it's an inability to break teams down rather than us down tooling or whatever. That's my thinking anyway.
I would say so as well. Andy McCall also asks, with a fully fit squad, who makes up your attacking front line? So your ideal front three, if everyone's fit.
Jasper. Probably Jasper. Melkerson.
Yep.
I don't know.
Kevin Nisbet getting there?
He probably would have to, as much as he frustrates the life out of me.
Yeah. He's a good player though. He is.
Yeah.
He is frustrating. I can't exactly what you mean. And I've spoke at length. I'll not repeat myself, but I've spoke at length in previous podcasts about the amount of stick that he takes is unreal from his own. I mean, I sit in the West Stand, and the amount of stick that he takes from people that are sitting around me is absolutely unreal.
It's probably mostly me. I just think he's lazy.
I think Ken what is for me, and I we're getting off on a wee bit of Kevin Nisbet tangent here, but I feel like he has to come deep so often that when the play then goes forward, he's sitting too far deep because he's trying to make things happen, that he's slower to get into the box than he would be if he had that link just in behind.
Do you know what annoys me though? Do you know what frustrates me the most? And it was the same with Stokes. Because I know that they're good.
Yeah.
Right? So when they don't do it, when they don't do it all the time, or they look as if they're not trying as much, that's what grates me. Is when I know how good they can be, and then they fall so short of the mark.
Yeah, it is frustrating.
And it's annoying. It's just annoying and frustrating.
Moving on from your perfect three, Joe has asked, is a front three of Melkerson, Jasper and Henderson feasible?
No.
Yeah, I think we said earlier on, Henderson's too slow.
Maybe Henderson in behind.
Henderson in behind, take Henderson out and put someone else in.
He's too slow.
Yeah. Joe also asks, were you impressed by Hauger last night? I know we touched on it slightly, but we spoke more about Melkerson, but Hauger, were you impressed by him?
I liked his attitude. I liked the fact that he was trying to impress. He was trying to do things. I liked the fact that he took no time in getting himself a yellow card.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So just as I said earlier, there's not very much to judge them off, but from what I saw,
you liked.
Yeah.
Perfect. And finally, before we wrap up, Joe also asks, Stevenson performance, does he want a new one year deal?
I mean, I think the thing with Lewis Stevenson is, and I've been an advocate of this for years, I think defensively, I think he's
very, very sound.
I think he's always been rock solid defensively.
Yeah.
I think since we've been a club that sort of just that morphs into a retirement home, I think there's no reason why we shouldn't give him a deal based on if he's got another year in him to play. I think he's played well recently in central midfield.
Yeah,
centre half last night as well. He's solid.
I completely agree.
He's not good going forward, but
Yeah.
it's not his game.
I've been very critical of Lewis Stevenson. I don't think I've been very critical of him on the podcast, but certainly, in the last few years, I've said, "Oh, Stevenson's done. He's no good enough." But this season, for me, I've had to eat my words because it's been. I don't think it's been the second coming or the third coming. I think it's been the fourth or fifth coming of Lewis Stevenson. It's every time you think he's down and out, he pops right back up like the Undertaker is. He's I don't think we'll ever get rid of him. He'll be playing till he's 50 probably. But yeah, he's very, very quickly turning into again a staple of another Hibs team.
Mm.
And if he's good enough, then let the laddie play. I'm happy with that.
That's it. No, I'm looking for reasons to disagree, but I am falling short.
And I think we'll wrap it up there. Thanks very much for coming on, Michael. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to our future endeavours.
Thank you. No, it's been good, cathartic if nothing else. Looking forward. Hopefully, we'll score a goal before I'm next on.
Didn't hold your breath.
So, I'll see you in 6 months. Nah, I'm joking. Thank you for having me on and inviting me to be a voice of this podcast.
Not a problem, mate. It's been a pleasure to have you so far, and I'm sure it will get even better in the weeks to come. But yeah, again, everyone, thanks very much for listening. Keep an eye out for the pod on Monday after the St Johnstone game, where Gav and the guys will be talking about that and whoever we play after St Johnstone. It has escaped my brain. Is it the cup game?
World
Cup game. So keep an eye out for that. I'm sure Gav will have some content for you all in the week leading up to the quarter-final. But all that's left to say from myself and Michael is thank you very much for listening if you got this far, and we will see you when we see you. Bye.